Welcome back to the Naughty Corner Gaming, and it is time for another video. And in today's video I want to talk about the role of events and the motivation or demotivation that they can cause as a result of us wanting. As an avid tournament goer, I typically go to 1 or 2 tournaments a month, wife allowing, and that's mainly for Malifaux, but it is also, I've started picking up some 40k events, and obviously with going to an event there's a expectation about painted models, and you'll see here that I've got a couple of things I want to talk about and do today with you. The first thing is obviously getting to that event is always important, and signing up to them I think really gives you an opportunity to broaden your horizons, look at things in a different way, and potentially see things that you don't necessarily see. In Malifaux we have 9 masters per faction with some crossovers, and 8 factions. So, there's a wide scope of things that you may or may not see as a result of going to your local gaming group, for example. I know that with my 40k local gaming group at Redditch, I've been playing a lot of Marines, but I started picking up the Sisters, and I've mainly played against Chaos players. But I went to 2 events, and I got to play Necrons, Chaos Demons, Tau, and Chaos Knights. Still a very chaosy theme, but I've seen a bit of more of broadened horizons. Still waiting to see some Imperial Knights go against me, and I'm worried about that one. But topic of conversation for another video. What I want to talk about today is obviously getting to that event and then what you're doing there. It's not just about just going up there, taking your toys and all that sort of thing. It's about having painted models. So with Malifaux Nationals, at the time of recording, less than 2 weeks away, and I have a metaphorical box of hobby that needs painting. I'm going to talk to you about today's video whilst painting 2 models. I'm going to be painting McMorning in Sanitary and McMorning 1 as my options. I've still got to paint the rest of the crew, but that's going to take more time. In today's video I will be using Pro Acryl paints just because I find they go over really quick and easy, and an Army Painter wet palette. I've got a couple of wet palettes on the Rampage Games website. A link will be in description should you want to pick one up. We've got them on discount at the moment because I've got loads of them, so there may not be many left by the time we get the video, but it's a nice easy option there. So I think it's important as we start talking about painting and all this sort of thing that's the first requirement, that being painted sets up a good standard for your day. In 40k, our other main game here, that is a requirement to get 10 points, if not you're capped at 90. However, in Malifaux it's a slightly different, and there is a primed, and only certain events require fully painted. Obviously the idea is that you get more painted models and go over time. As I keep on jumping between factions as a rainbow nutter butterfly person, I really struggle to get that done. But today, having played an event yesterday, I'm really back on Reses and playing McMorning. So I got rid of my old one because it was painted with contrast and I wasn't really happy with it. As it was contrast 1.0, so I want to redo it. So I've got all the models rebuilt and in my case, and we're going to focus on that today. It's worth recognising that obviously in certain types of events painting is a requirement, and therefore if you're thinking about attending an event you should really check the requirements, and usually there's a rules pack or something like that and a guidance about what the standard expectation is. I know typically when I used to go to MCP events there was always a fully painted requirement, or you couldn't play with the models. And you know what? I'm all for it. Painted toys, all that sort of thing will help us as a community show off our hobby better. Painted is better than staring at a wall of grey. And that's why today's video is really important for me. Now let's not forget that there is always the opportunity at most events as well to have a best painted category, and that will usually be a model, an army, a display board, or things like that. To be clear, I'm not that good a painter. I can do bulk batch painting and I can do the odd model to a fairly good standard, but it will take a very large amount of time, and it's time that currently with 2 weeks to go and a lot of models to paint. I don't think it's one that is a reasonable goal. So at this point we're looking at speed, efficiency, and getting some base colours on, and then so I can go back later, take my time with it and doing the highlights. So typically what I would be doing is using the 2 colour system. So if you're thinking about going to an event yourself, you might want to consider one of the Rampage Games rack systems. So this is our custom 18 litre tub ready for Malifaux. And if you just have a look inside, what you get is a storage section for your cards. You get 4 trays, technically it can be 6, with a section to store your very tall models. I've adapted mine slightly to have an extra tray here if I need it for more models. But then you get 3 model trays, one that is 50mm, a 60mm with all my models, and you can see I've still got lots to paint, and then another 60mm tray. This stores about 5 keywords plus versatiles, and then you can just get all your cards and tokens into another section that is your generic things like corpse, scrap and scheme. It's worth taking a minute to point out that I'm not only just painting the 2 models that I've said here. Whilst I've got the paint desk out, I'm painting everything of the same style and colour. So everything that needs to be white or grey I've done on the models here, and I've started moving on to looking at the undead flesh tones. So I've used the 3 flesh constructs, 2 little gases, and then the 2 guild autopsies that I have to start doing that base idea to then apply to my key model. So with that, I've painted a keyword. It's the experiments keyword, and I've done it in about 4 hours. Is it the highest standard? No. Does it look painted enough to plan a tabletop? Yes, and that's what we're going for. Obviously, when you think about events, and this is my closing thoughts here, is to think about what are you taking, what are you doing, how long have you got, and piece it out. Like realistically, I would have loved to have made this decision and stuck with it a while ago, and then gone, oh, I'll paint a model a week or 2 models a week or something like that. But obviously, it's not always the case, and sometimes we can impose ourselves on very tight deadlines to mean that we've got to paint very quickly, and then we may not be happy with the crew that I've painted today and the keyword. Am I happy with it? Somewhat so. Am I going to potentially go back and improve it later, but when I have more time? Probably not, but that's just because there's so much other things I want to do and paint and do with the channel. Then actual fact, if it looks painted at say 3 foot, so sitting back from it, other side of the table, fairly happy with that, and I can live with that. I'm not here to win best painted. I'm not here to challenge and stretch myself in this particular instance. I'm hitting a deadline, and that deadline was paint a keyword, and I've done that in, as I said, 3 to 4 hours, probably tops, and I can now play with this at Nationals. So with that, until next time.